Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, June 24th. Cool frontal system passed through the Mid-Atlantic region in the overnight hours with some scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms. Much more comfortable air is pushing into the I-95 corridor region this morning. A pretty stiff northwest breeze already being felt. Places like Philadelphia, D.C. with lower humidity than what we've experienced over the past few days. It'll become more comfortable in New York City over the next few hours as well. And a reduction or even an elimination of the threat for afternoon showers and thunderstorms. That has been a threat for the past several days. Looks like it'll be pretty much eliminated today in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City with the passage of that overnight frontal system. There will be another round of showers and thunderstorms later tomorrow into tomorrow night as another boundary zone kind of approaches the region. It stays pretty comfortable for this time of the year, though, with temperatures peaking out not only this afternoon but tomorrow afternoon, let's say in the mid-80s in the I-95 corridor, as opposed to 90 plus degrees over the past couple of days. The heat and humidity do build up again over the upcoming weekend. It looks like probably a rain-free day on Saturday, maybe some showers and thunderstorms later Sunday into Sunday night. 90 degrees, pretty close to 90 degrees for afternoon highs on both of those weekend days in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. Now, one of the things, of course, we've been following over the past several days is this massive plume of dry, dusty desert air that originated over the Sahara Desert region of northern Africa during the middle part of the month. It has pushed across the Atlantic Ocean into the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico right now, and there are certainly reasons to believe that at least some of this air mass will make it all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region over the upcoming weekend or into the early part of next week. Now, this is a rather normal atmospheric phenomenon this time of the year. Basically, what meteorologists refer to as the Saharan air layer, SAL, is a pretty regularly occurring type of phenomenon, let's say from mid-June all the way into mid-August, even into September. But this is quite an unusual outbreak in that it's pretty widespread compared to normal and more intense compared to normal. The skies have become kind of brownish over the Caribbean Sea region, and on the positive side, it'll make for much more colorful sunrises and sunsets. Yesterday there were some very orange-looking skies during sunset in Florida, for example, and again, some of that dusty air has made it in the Gulf of Mexico. Could very well reach the Mid-Atlantic region by the latter part of the weekend. This is a model, a specific model run by NASA called the GEOS version 5, kind of seeing a 10-day loop here that was initiated 2 days ago, goes all the way out to July 2nd, and all this colorful area here is where this dusty air mass resides during this 10-day loop. Again, that begins on June 22nd and ends on July 2nd. Notice here in the last couple of frames that the dusty air goes all the way around into the Mid-Atlantic region, and kind of a reinforcing shot coming off of the west coast of Africa right now. This is again a 10-day loop from a model specifically for this type of setup here. What we're looking at are values of aerosol optical thickness. And again, the color area represents where the Saharan dust resides during this 10-day period. It's moving west in the trade winds. Again, rather typical this time of the year. You have tropical trade winds that blow from the east to the west over the Atlantic Ocean. So air masses that originate over Africa can move right over the tropical Atlantic and into the U.S. And this type of air is an inhibiting factor for tropical activity in the Atlantic Basin, and certainly we have a lack of activity in this region right here. There was a subtropical low that formed way to the north, well out of this dusty air mass yesterday. That is moving to the northeast away from land, no problems at all for the U.S. mainland. But down in this region right here, the combination of the dryness of this air mass, the temperature, it's very warm, which actually creates some stability in the atmosphere, and it's associated with strong winds. All three of those factors inhibit tropical activity, at least on a temporary basis. Well, let's take a look at a couple of other ways to look at this dusty air mass. This is a current shot from University of Wisconsin website, and the oranges and red right here represent this very dry air mass, and you can see again, this is a pretty much up-to-date map here. We see certainly throughout the Caribbean region there's an extensive dry air mass, and certainly signs now from this particular methodology that it is into the Gulf of Mexico region. We'll see in a moment here, using a different band with GO-16 satellite imagery, we can clearly see that it has spilled over into the Gulf of Mexico. And again, there were some very colorful sunsets last night on the west coast of Florida, suggesting that the dusty air has reached throughout the Gulf of Mexico region right now. We'll show in a minute here, when we're looking at the models, how this can very well move all the way around a high pressure system into the Mid-Atlantic region by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. Well, one other way we can take a look at the current extent of this dry air plume here, this dusty air mass, is with a band that's referred to as a natural color fire band, GO-16. This is available at the College of DuPage weather website. And one of the great things for meteorologists regarding the latest GOES satellite series, started off as GOES-R, now it's referred to as GO-16, is that there's multiple bands to look at, different features like water vapor, and in this particular case, this particular band kind of shows clearly the dusty air mass, and you can see kind of a milky appearance here as the sun comes up, not only throughout the Caribbean Sea, but look at here, right in this region right here, you can clearly see it now into the Gulf of Mexico. And again, we're looking at the kind of the milky appearance here. That's where this Saharan desert air mass resides right now, moving all the way with these tropical trade winds into the Gulf of Mexico. And then we'll see in a moment here on the latest computer forecast model how this can ride all the way up from Texas into the Mid-Atlantic region by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. But again, the extent of this plume now has extended all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, and really with a kind of a secondary push continues to extend from the west coast of Africa all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. Well, let's now take a look at the operational run of the GFS 6Z run in terms of the surface forecast maps. And again, there's a frontal system that has now just exited the east coast, and a much more comfortable air mass is pushing into the I-95 corridor region. It'll go all the way to the coast over the next couple of hours. Already much more comfortable in DC and Philadelphia, and it'll become much more comfortable over the next couple of hours in New York City, with lower dew points, lower humidity values than what we experienced over the past few days, and an elimination of the threat of afternoon showers and thunderstorms that has been really in the forecast over the past several days. Not today. Maybe an outside chance, a small chance in New York City, but other than that, it looks like DC and Philadelphia in the clear, and most likely New York City as well after this front clears the coastal region. Let's move ahead here. Notice no precipitation depicted by the GFS model, even in the afternoon. Remember, over the past several days, past several afternoons, the models became much more active in terms of precipitation, correctly so, by the way, in the afternoon and evening, as the daytime heating of the morning made the atmosphere much more unstable. But again, much more comfortable, reduction or elimination of the chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Now, on Thursday, it looks like another boundary zone, a little bit of a boundary zone in here. Call it a weak front or whatever, but it could return the chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm in the Mid-Atlantic region on Thursday afternoon and evening. Again, kind of a weak frontal system and then that clears on out of here, and it looks like for the most part Friday probably a rain-free day. Again, fairly comfortably warm for this time of the year. We really have not had any kind of sustained heat wave in the I-95 corridor region. By sustained heat wave, I mean 3 or more days of 90-degree plus high temperatures. Haven't had that at all, certainly in Philadelphia, New York City. I don't believe even in D.C. we've had 3 consecutive days of 90 plus, and we are now approaching the end of the month of June, so not bad at all so far this summer in the Mid-Atlantic region. Now, notice here by Friday night, strong high pressure situated over the southeast U.S. That's the key to the forecast for this plume of dusty desert air to potentially make it all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region. Here indeed you can see the isobar pattern around this high pressure system, and winds flow clockwise around high. So envision this kind of a flow parallel to these isobars here, which are represented by these black lines here. And this is the overall weather pattern setting up for Friday night. All that dusty air in the Gulf of Mexico can make it all the way into Texas and Arkansas, and then start turning around towards the northeast, into the upper Ohio Valley, into the Mid-Atlantic region right here by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. So watch out for potential very nice sunrises and sunsets for a couple of days in the Ohio Valley, in the Mid-Atlantic region during the weekend or the early part of next week. In addition to potentially bringing that dusty plume north and east, this kind of a flow in the upper part of the atmosphere will bring some hotter and more humid air back into the Mid-Atlantic region as well. Let's push forward here, and here we are now by Saturday morning. This high pressure in control, possible southwest flow in the low to middle parts of the atmosphere will bring in some of that dusty air into the Ohio Valley first, and then into the Mid-Atlantic region over the upcoming weekend, and it'll become quite warm once again. Probably high temperatures Saturday afternoon in and around the 90-degree mark in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Probably a rain-free day. Then we get into Sunday. Same sort of deal with very warm air by this time in the Mid-Atlantic region. 90 degrees likely for highs again Sunday afternoon. You'll see here low pressure moves into the northeast on Sunday morning. There'll be kind of a frontal system associated with that low pressure area, trailing that low pressure area, and that will increase chances again for showers and thunderstorms maybe later Sunday into Sunday night in the Mid-Atlantic region. So quite a bit going on here. Very comfortable air mass pushes in for today into the Mid-Atlantic region. Noticeably lower humidity levels, and even the temperatures will drop from highs near 90 yesterday to the low to mid 80s this afternoon. Maybe a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then a return of the heat and humidity over the upcoming weekend. Possibly an influx of dusty desert air into the Mid-Atlantic region over the upcoming weekend, into the early part of next week. Maybe a return of showers and thunderstorms late Sunday night. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.